8th grade.
Yes.
Okay, so we're about ready to start the school board meeting. Just so you know, the school board meeting is recorded. The microphones are up in the ceiling, so remember to keep your audience participation unless you're called upon. And it is 18:30, Mr.
Get
Chairman.
that right.
So
Keep that thing away from me. That's right. You're like.
we're ready to go.
Call the meeting to order. Okay. Flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Roll call. Grant? Here. Susie?
Here.
Neil?
Present.
I'm here. Looks like we're all here.
Yep.
And Michael is excused tonight for being a little bit under the weather. Okay, additions, no additions, deletions, just not fair. Public comment,
No one signed up and no one online wants to.
no one online.
Wants to make a comment.
Oh, huh?
No one online wants to make a comment.
Nobody online wants to make a comment. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and, if there was, I'm still gonna go ahead and read our public comment protocol. This public comment portion of the agenda is for comments that address an item on tonight's agenda. The board recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of involving members of the public in its meetings. The board president will call forward individuals who have signed up to speak. Please state your name and limit your comments to 3 minutes. The board will not respond to comments during the meeting unless there is a need for to clarify a question, as most issues require the board to review all available information before making a decision. The board may request the superintendent or designatee to follow up with you about your concern. Okay. Consent agenda. Hold up here. You got anything, Danny? Do we need to, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Second, any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. The motion is passed. Huh? Oh, excuse me. Right. Okay, personnel reports.
Consent agenda.
Oh, okay. It looked like it was oh, my bad. Excuse me. You ready to go to the next one? Okay. Student reps are not here tonight. Winter sports.
Okay.
They're there.
Good evening, everybody.
Good
It's
evening.
good to see everybody. We'll go ahead and begin with what's happening at the middle school this winter. So what I like to bring to you is a comparison of the numbers that we had last year and the numbers that we had this year. So I'd ask that you pay particular attention to the growth, and you may remember in past presentations, they're consistently, for the most part, is growth occurring in number, and that puts some other things in motion. I can talk a little bit about that. Season 3 basketball, we had 46 come out. That's 5 better than last year. We have grown such that there was a need to hire a 5th coach and make 5 teams this year. Those athletes, they're working hard, they're growing, and one of the metrics that I use in knowing that a program is succeeding is being able to tell if kids are having fun. And I'm seeing that. They're not winning every game, all the programs, but I will say that that 8th grade class, the varsity team, excuse me, only lost 1 game this year. So we're looking really forward to that class getting to the high school and making some contributions. In season 4, it's boys soccer and girls volleyball. We've grown also in boys soccer by 3 based on last year. And this also, that's not accurate. We didn't need to hire a 5th coach. And I think that's when I asked you to go back that slide. And then I did, and then I didn't say it. So we have 2 coaches, but that has also grown. Volleyball is the other sport that continues to grow and explode. And one of the challenges that we face with a program getting that large, it's a good problem to have. It's space. It's space. So you begin to think about where can we put these kids where they can get the most out of their practices. So you think, yeah, we've got some availability in other buildings. It's the staggered release times that creates an issue, a challenge with getting in those other buildings. You've got the middle school that lets out at 2:10. Yeah, you can put them in GMES or RPS, but they don't release until 3:30. And so you get into that one transportation piece, that supervision piece. So we've been creative at the middle school to utilize the space that we have. Utilize the commons, try to get them in the fitness room wherever necessary. There's things that you can do athletically that you don't have to have a ball for. But that's a busy program. And I invite you all to come watch. They start their season competition tomorrow. But there was a need with that number to hire a 5th coach this year to have 5 teams. Just a projection, track and field. 61 are signed up. We'll see how many show up. That seems to be a sport where numbers don't decrease too much based on those who signed up for it. It's a sport that I feel is something for everybody. We've got a spot for you. Come out and work hard, and we're going to make you better. On the right side, not only comparisons from last year, but just kind of a breakdown of the number of students that are multi-season athletes, and then the arrow identifies 3 sports, 2 sports, and single sports for middle school. So winner. One of the highlights this year, the big one, was bowling. We had 17 gals come out, 2 better than last year. First time in high school history that we made it to state in bowling, which was tremendous. What a great group of girls, great coaching. And when we go to competition, you know, it used to be, you got to watch out for WF Weston. Yes, they're formidable. And, but now everybody's looking in Rochester. We got to keep them in our vision. But they perform well. You'll notice that they're performing solid academically with a varsity GPA of 3.302. That's Distinguished Team Award at the WIA level. League tournament champion, 4th in district, state qualifier, finishing 7th overall. The other great accomplishment too is the 1A, 2A Bowling State Championship Sportsmanship Award. And I think that screams levels in the personalities that we have in that group to be able to stand out like that at an event that size and in that moment. Really says something about Rochester, really something to be proud of. Let's see here. Boys wrestling, 24, we're down a little bit. We started with closer to 30. And, you know, based on some eligibility, some kids needing to prioritize, is this best for me right now in this moment? We finished with 24. 52% of those are multi-sport athletes. We had, let's see here, at wrestling subs, so they changed the format. Used to have subs and then used to have regionals. But the sport's grown so much, in particular in the girls, they've changed it to you wrestle at subs, which is kind of a sub district, and you go right from there to state. They call it straight to state. But we had 3, let's see here. 2nd place finishes, 3 third. And let's see here. We finished top 3, 6 finished top 3. I don't think that that's up here. And Kenna Pratt, you know, here's a story too. A young woman the last couple of years came out for basketball. Made a change this year. And her first time coming into, a sport that's really either grab or be grabbed, came out and she's strong-willed. She'll let you know her thoughts, and she came out and showed it on the mat, and she found a spot at Mac Classic, and that's not easy to do. That's not easy to do. The beautiful thing, everybody got, let's see. Everybody saw day two, but that was also kind of due to the format and how they ran it. We didn't have any placers, but we're only graduating one of the 7 that went. So that looks really, really promising for next year. The other promising part of that too, and I'll rewind into season 2 briefly, is that we have a handful of young women at the middle school who wrestle and will be coming to the high school. And we hope they hold on such that we can actually call ourselves a team. And we haven't had that in some time at the high school. Girls basketball, 51% multi-sport athletes. We added a 3rd team this year. We hadn't done that in the last handful of years, and that was real exciting. And not only did we add a team, but we were able to maintain it. Sometimes that C squad can fall off for a variety of reasons. Distinguished Team Award, 3.180. They're a young team, and they're a team that, again, they had fun. They had fun. They didn't win a lot of games. It's really hard to define a season based on your wins and losses, but they competed. They competed, they were coachable, and that's what you want to see. And that's exactly what you want to see, and they did that. So boys basketball, we had 33 come out. 86% are multi-sport athlete. And they really played some inspired ball. And I think the story behind basketball this year is they really could have used another 3 weeks. They were really coming into their own at the end of the season. And I believe that based on the past 2 years, it took so much time to unlearn things to be able to then build and learn. Our coach, Caleb Sells, he was a great acquisition to the program, and he brought structure and he brought consistency. But we could have used another few weeks, and you would have seen a difference. You'd have seen a difference. So we got a lot of kids coming back. And again, we're looking forward to that 8th grade team coming up and being a part of that. Winter cheer, what do you say about them? They're there, they're spirited, they bring energy. And they really add to the atmosphere of a gym. So, and here's just some photos. Got the Spirit crew at the top, 7 state qualifiers, 6 top 3 district finishes. The girls did earn an opportunity for a tiebreaker to get into the district tournament and lost that at Elma against Tenino. Young and building. I spoke about basketball, and again, we could have used just a little bit more time. All league honors. So back to bowling. Junior Natalie Southern, she was voted league MVP. Now she didn't have the highest, she was second in having the highest pin total average in the general season. But that's an accomplishment that's voted on by the head coaches. So again, it lends itself to that spirit and that culture that our bowling program is. We're very proud of that. So we had some second team seniors. Kaylin Black, she averaged 154, Staley 158, Sambalay 150, and Casey Smith. And again, I want to bring your attention back to the fact that they won the sportsmanship award. So we're going to put some level of a banner up in the gym to live there. So we can celebrate them. I just found out today. So our basketball commissioner is also a coach whose team made it to the state championships. So his biggest priority wasn't holding the league meeting to get, the all league accolades. So I don't have those for you currently. Winter cheer, present, they're never silent. In fact, when they're silent, they're not. That's their job, and they do it very well. So just a summit of accomplishments. We had 1 league MVP, 1 league tournament champion, 4th place district team finish, 6 top 3 district individual finish, for second team all conference, 12 state qualifiers in total this winter. As always, it's a good time to be aware. Here's just a snapshot of what spring's looking like. Fast pitch is another one that's exploding, and I think it's an example of successful programs act like a magnet. Kids want to be a part of that. Why wouldn't you? Golf, we're up a little bit. We'll see how many show up for golf. Baseball, I would call that a little bit more average. And we'll see how many show up there, but sometimes they do go down. In baseball, sometimes you don't get the same number, but we're looking forward to a great season there. Soccer, it's grown. We're looking forward to a strong season there. I would say collectively, it has been really good for us to drop a classification. And that competitive balance has been really, really healthy for our programs. And track and field, we're not quite there, but you know, that's a magical day when that first week shows up and kids are seeing kids out there doing this and they want to be a part of it. So that number's probably going to grow just a little bit. That's good. Anything else?
It should rain Monday. It's first day of baseball season.
It is. Spring sports start Monday. I would also add too that Sports Med is alive and well the last 2 days, 3 periods in total. Although they won't admit it, I think kids took great pleasure in me being the unconscious person on the floor and rolling me around and taping me up and my wounds. And I was there this morning and they come in and, you know, it's very, very formal and they pick a scenario out of a basket. So they called in, it was one of our state wrestlers. This particular scenario was choking. And I thought, he's going to give me the Heimlich, break a rib, but it all went well, but they're alive and well. And I'm excited to be a part of that, but that's what I have for you this evening.
Questions?
I'm just thankful we got a lot of presents. We have many kids that are involved at multiple levels and multiple grades and continuing to excel. Very positive.
Mhm.
So when you say you had more kids come out and you made additional teams, is that just for middle school level or you only allowed so many teams at the high school level?
No, you know, you try to create teams, kids get better based on floor time. If it's basketball, just having time to be in that competitive moment. So you try to do what's reasonable. There's no limit to teams. Again, you have to consider in the space factor. You also have to consider who is out there to compete with. You know, if in a certain sport you're creating teams, here's your top, here's your next level, here's your next level. C squad, for instance, not every school out there has a C squad. So sometimes it's a struggle to fill those schedules. And so sometimes it's more beneficial to have a bigger JV bench and find ways to incorporate kids rotating in and off the floor. I'm using basketball again as an example.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's no limit.
So how do you said you have a hard time with the girls wrestling. How do you make that more
Hard time as
inviting, getting more girls to compete in wrestling?
Well, it's so much of it's word of mouth, so much of it's recruiting in the hallways, getting coaches around. So much of it is, just other wrestlers reaching out. We have, prior to the start of each season, we have spring sports meetings where during a 7th period, if you're interested in spring sports, go to this room, baseball in the commons, track in the library, and coaches are there then to talk and promote their sports.
Is it only a male for wrestling? I'm just focused kind of on the wrestling.
No, we'd love
you
to.
mentioned it, so it's
No, we'd love to have more women out.
But you have a male, a female coach.
We do not currently have a female coach for the team.
Okay.
For the team. Now, that being said, that would be something that's welcome too, but we're allowed only so many coaches, and that could be certainly a conversation I can have.
Oh, I'm just curious, you know,
Yeah.
trying to make it more, if you're having problems, so to say, I use it.
Well, we have a really great coach at the middle school in Liz Ware. So she's part of the middle school program,
Oh, okay,
and she's a previous successful wrestler for the high school.
okay, so that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
So if we had somebody at the high school that could kind of, you know, put fire into some young girls.
Sure. And, you know, and part of our language reads that, you know, when the middle school season gets over, those coaches can come up then and be part of the high school program. And she's done that.
Oh, okay,
But it also has to do with her time
yeah,
and her schedule.
yeah,
But yeah,
okay, sounds good.
anything else?
You're good.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Ready?
Yes. Okay.
All right. You're the first one in the hot seat.
All right. I'm Nicole Kernet. I am the assistant principal at Rochester Primary School. This is my first full year there. I had the opportunity to serve as the acting assistant principal and interim assistant principal last year. So it's been awesome to start out the year there and be able to build some systems. So today I'm going to highlight some of our behavioral response systems and our social emotional learning, essential learning standards that we have focused on. And to start out, oh, sorry, Justin.
No.
It's okay. The picture, a huge shout out to our Parent Booster Club. They just purchased these pole banners in both English and Spanish that will be hung up in our parking lot, hopefully within the next week. In holding these pictures, you'll see some of our students from our first grade dual language program. So pretty cool representation there. Thanks, Jess. Okay. This roadmap, and I apologize, it's a little hard to see there. This is just a brief overview for you to look at later. I won't go over all steps, but our journey as far as identifying our essential social emotional learning standards for the primary school as a whole building for all students. And today I'm going to focus on 3 main components that we have been using to respond to our students who are showing us that they may need a little bit of extra support, and to celebrate our students who are meeting those learning standards as well. And the R at the bottom represents our current, where we are, is right there. And then you'll see it goes to the end of the year, but this map will continue to grow as we continue our system and implementation. And it aligns with our foundations team and books from Behavior Solutions, in a training that Dr. Bethman gave us the opportunity to attend as well, which was very helpful and influential on these systems as we grow them. I'm ready, sorry. Okay. Okay, the first slide here you'll see it broken down by grade level for kinder, first, and second grade. As a foundations team, when we are looking at what are our students communicating to us as something that we're seeing reflected in referral data, things that we're seeing teacher observation school-wide. And one of the biggest ones was managing our body. So if you ever go to the primary school and you see the kids walking around, holding in their bubble space and through the hallways, those are some of the strategies that we use to help them learn and be aware of their body, you know, walking around in line, things like that. On the playground can sometimes be a tough one for that as we're playing. Anyway, across all systems. So this data comes from a formative assessment created by our building foundations team. And quarterly right now, our teachers are giving this assessment at a time in their classroom when they're like in a workshop model time for math or ELA. Could also be like a purposeful playtime or a social emotional learning time for our different times of the day. And as you can see, we're able to monitor the data as our students are progressing as a formative assessment. So not just our perception, but we're actually be able to see how each student's progressing in the area of managing their body school-wide. So you'll see in October, when we took our first one, we had 61% school-wide meeting proficiency. And in December, we actually got that to 80% based on student formative assessments. Our end of year goal is 95%, which follows the structure for Behavior Solutions is all our students in social emotional learning behavior meeting that 95%. You can see the breakdown if you'd like to as further along. And the third one, which this is also very hard to see, so I did bring you a visual. As part of our one of our building behavior plans is reducing our number of discipline referrals in the area of not being safe, which kind of goes in with the I can manage my body. you'll see one things that we noticed in our systems checks was having like a very equitable response to behavior for all of our students. Regardless if a student is identified as having any type of other need, what is that response that we know we can give to all students and ensure that we're following all steps to catch our students wherever they are. So you'll see this works down. At the very top, you'll see basically what we would call our school promises in the area of social emotional learning and behavior, which on here are called non-negotiables, the tier 1 level. So all students are receiving these in every location. Yes, up there in the upper left, thank you, Justin. And you'll see in the middle there, our Warrior Way, Respectful, Responsible, Safe centers all of our work around social emotional learning and behavior. And yeah, that's just kind of our flow chart for responding to behavior. And our teachers and classified staff have this, and we're continuing our work on this. Actually, our next session of work on this one specifically is, I believe, March 14th. Okay. Good. Yeah, thank you guys. And the third focus, I get really excited about this too, so I apologize if I talk quickly. Again, I'm like, oh, it's just been really fun to see and put into place as a building. This one we are having some students when they receive their tier 1 instruction that all students are getting. We do find that we have some students who are still needing additional support in being able to meet those goals that we have for them. And we know that they can do it, but how are we going to help them get there? And so one of the ways that we have done that is started a tier 2 admin-led intervention side in social emotional learning and behavior. They're all aligned with our essential behavior standards. And this team, it consists of Mrs. Kearns, our principal, Sarah GK, our school counselor, myself, and our BCBA, Jessica Whitehead, as being able to do these in addition to what the teacher is providing in the classroom. And this looks like small groups that are scheduled typically once to twice a week. We do have some students who, if they're at a tier 3 level, we will increase that frequency and duration. But in those academies, as they're called, as we follow the framework of behavior solutions for these systems, they call them academies. And so we have currently, I can manage my emotions academy, I can listen attentively academy, and interact respectfully academy. And we've modified some of these, especially for our youngest learners. Some of them are actually done through play. So instead of maybe a direct lesson where we're talking, some of them are actually done through cooperative play. Yeah, thank you, Justin. And how we form these groups is really important. Sometimes our perceptions are very important in staff, but have we like looking at multiple data points for this. So we're looking at discipline referrals, we're looking at patterns of level 1 behaviors where maybe they're not getting a lot of referrals, or it's not a big, like a big emergency where they're like, this kid needs to go to the office, but we're seeing that these are patterns that they're struggling in. So we'll intervene there to help with that. We have teacher perception data, admin perception data, and then our DESA, which is our social learning, emotional, like kind of scale that teachers do, at least in our level. I know the higher levels, the students also complete the DESA. And our very first round of this ever was in October, and we had 13 students. It ran until December 19th. Or 13 students, excuse me, and then our second round was 15 students. And as we were looking at the data of our students who are showing this need of additional support, as we looked at the response to intervention work and behavior, we were noticing that currently right now our students are falling into 3 to 4%. And in the behavior world, that's what they say we should be having. And so that was really exciting to see, because that tells us that a lot of our students are responding to what we're teaching, and our essential behaviors that we have identified are meeting their needs. And then we actually, because that's running at an operational level, we can really support our students who are needing a little bit extra with fidelity and with data to support it.
Is that like a test?
Yeah.
That's a thing. Is that like a test?
Yeah, it's like it's like a list of questions, and I kind of looking around, they go into different categories, and it will rate on like a student's ability to be independent. Does a student have confidence? Does a student have the ability to problem solve? Those types of questions. And there's definitely more. And it's kind of, and if a student were to flag in those areas as like, maybe these could be some areas of concern, it'll actually prompt even a fuller, like a more in-depth kind of questionnaire for the teacher to fill out, if that makes sense.
Can they take it how many times a year? Do they do it how many times? a week?
I believe, I think 3 times.
Time?
Yeah, thank you. And I know at the secondary level, I know students also take a desk aside or high school, perfect. Yeah, and our students do not. But yeah. And then just to tie it to some students, into some amazing faces at our school. Here are 3 graphs that you'll see for our students who received a tier 2 intervention and what we would call graduated out at this point. So you'll see the lines, the one on the bottom left is green and the other 2 are red. And that was their goal, meaning they're meeting this goal 80% of the time. So an example would be our student in the middle. He was working on Can Manage My Emotions Academy. And so what this would look like is explicit direct instruction with myself. And then he would have a check-in, check-out process that he did with his teacher and me. And we're really he's able to identify his feelings, where his brain is feeling at the primary school. If you want to see the visuals, we have them. And working through that. So what could he manage his emotions? Could he identify it? Could he pick strategies to use in the event that he was feeling a little dysregulated, or as we would call it, in the yellow zone? Okay. And then last but not least, a part of our behavior and social emotional plan with our foundations team is really increasing school engagement around the campus. Why are kids excited to come to school, not only in the classroom, but outside? And one way we've been able to tap into that is through whole school engagement themed recesses, which is really amazing because we don't have to make a special schedule for that. Recess happens every day. And then also using some school-wide events such as the blow party. And we have them coming up in the spring as well, based on students meeting behavioral expectations in our school. And if you want to come, we have Read Across America Week next week. We always could use guest speakers. I believe Miss Hawes, you may have come for that last year. I remember, yeah. We'll have an Earth Day themed recess coming up, Galactic recess if you're a Star Wars fan. And then in April and May, we'll have our whole school-wide activity to support positive behavior. So just really fun. And you can guarantee that out of our almost 500 students, high 470s right now, including TK and RIP, you will be able to see a smile on basically every single one of their faces, and it's a real bucket filler. So we're always there. I think that's it. Yeah, thank you.
I got no questions.
I asked my question. Well done.
Thank you, Nicole.
All right. Thank you, board members. My name is Madison Newman, and I'm the Administrative Dean of Grand Mound Elementary School. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about foundations. So Nicole gave you a nice overview about RPS's foundation systems. I'd like to talk to you about Grand Mound's. So our foundations team is in charge of discussing behavior expectations and school-wide tiered systems of support for our students who need instruction with their behavior. Our foundations team is open to all of our staff members to participate in. Rather than gatekeeping that team and making it only a couple of voices that can come to the table, we wanted to open up that conversation to all of our teachers and all of our EAs. Every staff member at GMES is allowed to join our foundations team. And in order to increase that access, we wanted to have 2 meetings a month. One meeting before school and one meeting after school. This way, we're able to accommodate more staff members' schedules so that more voices can be brought into the conversation. And additionally, our staff members said that they wanted to know what they missed if they weren't able to make a foundations meeting. So I've created a shared chronological living agenda. This is linked to the calendar invitation that all of our staff have access to. So they're able to constantly review the work that we've done in foundations and get a better idea about where we're going in the future. Next slide, please. In the past, before I got to Grand Mound, our foundations team worked on developing our school-wide behavior matrix. And what this does is it takes our 3 school rules: be safe, be respectful, and be responsible. And it defines what does that look like and sound like in all different areas of the school during all school activities. Justin, if you could click next slide, please. This is what our behavior matrix looks like. And I apologize, it's a little bit small, but it defines for students what their behavior should look like and what it should sound like. This alleviates any student confusion. So the more that we teach our students what we expect of them, the more they will rise to the occasion. If there is any confusion as to what the expectation is, that's when we'll see an increase in student misbehavior. This not only benefits our students, but it also benefits our staff as well. So if the staff know what the clear expectations are, they're able to more consistently implement those expectations for our students, and our students are able to thrive when they are at school. So this was where we started, but let's talk about where we've gone so far this year. Next slide, please. What we did is back in August, we looked at our existing behavior systems. We took a look at our behavior matrix. We made a couple little tweaks to it just to make sure that it still met Grand Mound's needs. But then we also looked at our leveled behavior menu. Our leveled behavior menu was a list of different behaviors that our students have exhibited at Grand Mound in the past, and it defined them as either a level 1, 2, or 3 behavior. Level 1 being a mild misbehavior, or level 3 was a more severe misbehavior like physical violence towards another student. So we fine-tuned that leveled behavior. We consolidated some misbehaviors. We moved a couple behaviors to different tiers just to make sure that we were all on the same page as a staff. We then developed a behavior flow chart. This makes it easy and visible for our staff to be able to ask, okay, a student misbehaved. What do I do in order to fix this? How can I help intervene with this problem? You'll notice that those pictures up there, sorry, it's more easy over here. You'll notice that some of those words have lines underneath them. Those are hyperlinks. So if a student has if a teacher has a question about how do they properly document an incident in cumulative, they can click on that and it'll take them to an information document that our foundations team has created as a resource for our teachers. If you look through cumulative and you spend time in the discipline category like I do, you might notice that some of our discipline codes are a little bit subjective, like not being safe or being disrespectful. This is causing a lot of confusion with our teachers and with our students. So what our foundations team has done and will continue to do is work on defining some of those more subjective discipline codes. That way we have more consistent discipline write-ups for students when they are struggling with behavior. Similarly to the primary school, we've also implemented behavior academies at Grand Mound. We currently have 3 behavior academies at Grand Mound. Hands-Off Academy for students that struggle to keep their hands and bodies to themselves. Social Skills Academy for students that struggle with pro-social interactions with their peers. And Emotional Regulation Academy. And that's for students that are having some trouble regulating their emotions and might have a couple outbursts throughout their time here. These behavior academies teach 8 targeted life skills, and they teach replacement behaviors and coping strategies. It's targeted instruction to meet the needs of all of our students. Students were able to enter behavior academies based on data. This is anecdotal data collected from our teachers, and also referral data that I gathered from cumulative. Speaking of data, we do lots of homeroom data dives in our foundation team. We have this tool, so let's use it. It's able to create visuals of the areas of concern that our students are exhibiting. We're able to see what's trending in the behavior world at Grand Mound Elementary, and we're able to provide targeted interventions and supports for our students and for our staff. And then lastly, we've just now selected our top 10 social emotional learning standards. We've selected these standards based on what Washington State wants us to teach for our students. And recently, we've come up with proficiency scales for these top 10 standards. We've also outlined a timeline for when we want to focus on instruction for the 25-26 school year. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Sorry. So these are our top 10 social emotional learning standards. And as I mentioned, at our last meeting, which was just yesterday, we finished creating our proficiency scales for our students. These assessments will be focused or will be delivered by our teachers, and they'll be ranking their students at the beginning of the month on one social emotional standard, and then seeing how they grow and progress on that standard at the end of the month. This way, we're able to see how our students are growing, and what additional supports we can provide for them. Next slide, please.
Did we miss something?
Well, there was one more about what was next. So I can talk about that real quick. So what's next for us? Well, we'd like to increase some signage around Grand Mound. If our students know what the expectations are, they're going to live up to the expectations. So we'd like bathroom expectations posted in the bathrooms, hallway expectations posted in the hallways. We'd also like to more easily present to students those emotional regulation strategies. All students need to practice emotional regulation. It's not taboo, it's part of life. So making that more accessible to all students and not just a select few is going to help our students be even more successful at Grand Mound. Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions?
Do you use this similar to the teacher perception or administrative perception gatherings at that, beginning of the month, end of the month survey, or how's that?
Yes, so along with each of these standards, there's going to be a proficiency scale from level 1 to level 4. Level 1 being, I'm really struggling to meet the social emotional learning standard. And then as you progress, level 3 is I can do exactly what the standard says. Level 4 is I'm going above and beyond what is expected of me. So it'd be the teachers ranking the students based on that proficiency scale.
Is it similar, you're trying to get to 80%, 85, 95%?
Yes.
Measure that
Yes.
improvement, yeah. Cool.
That's correct. Any other questions?
Any feedback from parents?
We've had not necessarily about our proficiency scales yet, because that's still very much in the works within our foundations team. Where we've had a lot of feedback is from our discipline referral communication. So recently at the elementary and at the primary school, parents have been getting email notifications once a discipline referral has been processed. With the change in the system comes a lot of questions from our families. And so I spend a lot of time on the phone talking with parents about, hey, this was just an informational referral. It's just to let you know that I had a conversation with your child regarding a really minor misbehavior that happened on the playground during class.
Question?
As you were explaining this, you said you have 3 different groups, controls and behaviors.
Yeah.
And there was a third group. Can you explain the third group one more time?
Was that emotional regulation?
Yes.
Yeah, so emotional regulation, we have a lot of students who at primary school, they would say they flip their lids. So they become dysregulated. They don't necessarily know how to cope with that dysregulation yet. They need explicit teaching on how to regulate their emotions when they come across a frustrating situation. So that Emotional Regulation Academy teaches students specific strategies for how to deal with something when life's not going our way.
Okay. And do you find this to be really helpful? Does this help with the whole class group? Is it a group thing more, or is this an individual?
This
We're
is.
going to bring attention to these behaviors.
So we started this with one student at a tier 3 level, which meant that I met with this student every day for about 20 minutes a day. We focused on emotional regulation skills. Now we are in our 3rd week of our first session of behavior academies. So all 3 of our behavior academies are in week 3 now. The hands-off academy is taught by me. Social skills is taught by Mr. Gary, who is our behavior support EA, and then emotional regulation is taught by our school counselor. So we're only in week 3 of that right now. It's going to be about a 9-week program, first week being pre-assessment, and then 1 week for each skill after that. But with that one student that I worked with one-on-one, we did see great improvement in her behavior. She still has work to do, but she's improving, and that's what matters.
And how many kids total are in these 3 groups?
About 30 as of right now.
30?
Mhm.
All right. Hopefully things continue to improve.
Thank you so much.
They all learn the regulating themselves.
Yes, that is
There's a lot of breathing.
yes.
skills,
Lots
meditation
of fox
skills.
breathing and all of that stuff.
Oh, the cartoons they watched. Maybe I'm dating myself when I say that. You know. It sounds like a great plan and glad to see it's working.
Thank you so much.
The adults could use some of that training.
So where is this stuff? So for the discipline and everything, through all of this, who approves that this stuff is, can work? So is it approved by like a psychologist, psychiatrist? Who puts the rubber stamp on it, says, hey, yeah, this stuff is approved for not just your school, but all the other schools? Because you're all talking about discipline and stuff like that, and discipline is different at every level. So who dreamed this stuff up?
That's a great question. So all of the administrators in Rochester, we're not just going about this willy-nilly and pulling strategies out of any drawer that we have. All of our practices that we have are based on research and theory. So this restorative conversation that we have when students misbehave in a classroom, that is supported by research and best practices in terms of shaping student behavior. These behavior academies that both Nicole and I talked about, we learned about at a behavior solutions conference that Dr. Bethman sent us to. And these are two authors that have been working in the world of shaping student behavior for quite some time. They've developed their career around shaping student behavior and leading the way in research and best practices for shaping student behavior.
Okay. Just curious. A lot has changed since discipline in my time was a lot different.
For sure, no more paddles or anything like that.
They didn't really dysregulate your
Paddle
behavior,
back.
so
Huh?
the paddles didn't really dysregulate your behavior. They dysregulated your
It
behavior.
regulated my behavior. Very good. Yes, it did.
Thank you, board member.
Next. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. So here I'm going to introduce Renee. This is Renee Hudbert. She's our administrative intern, one of our administrative interns at the middle school this year.
As you can see, I am not Todd. So she has let me as an administrative intern. I'm also a teacher at Rochester Middle School. I was an EA, then a teacher, and now I am doing my admin. So let's just say I've kind of grown up in my career here. So some of our foundations teamwork that we have done is our school-wide expectations. So as a team, we got together and we decided, and also the staff, we had their voice in this too, is some of our school-wide expectations. One of those was a no hood policy. And so I'm going to pass out. I just have some visual aids if everybody wants to take look out and look. These are some signs that are displayed all over our school. So the kids see them everywhere. Not only is it a good thing that at the beginning of the year, we teach our students, every class teaches our students what the expectations are, but they also are posted everywhere to remind students that these are the expectations of in the classroom, in the hallways, in the lunch. As you can see in the side, it says some. We can't list them all, but it's just to remind students throughout the school that we have some expectations. One of those is a no hood policy. Our middle school students actually hate this one. And the problem that we noticed at middle school level, and a lot of teachers were saying to us, is that when our students have their hoods on, they kind of cocoon in themselves and they're not listening. And they totally disengage with the lessons. And some of our students, not all of them, wear their earbuds and you can't see them. And so they're not even listening at all. And so what we did is we decided to say no hoods, like you have no hoods on in class, no hoods on anywhere, because we want to be able for you to understand what's going on and to regulate your behavior and to have that. And we've noticed that our engagement in classrooms has just been so much better. The kids are actually like listening and participating in activities. We do a lot of whiteboard work. So the kids get up, they do activities on the wall, they learn, they move around. And so having them be able to be engaged in the lesson is what we want. We want them out of their little, we call it turtling, when they get like little turtles. And so we want them out of that and we want them, active and being a part of the lesson. The other one is also what our students hate is we have a new cell phone policy. So we've always had a no cell phones in the classroom. While we're learning, your cell phone is put away. It is not to be used. But this year, something new that we've done, especially at a middle school level, they're addicted to this little thing. And so we have said no cell phones from 7:10 to 2:10, nothing at all. They're not to be out. One of the big areas that we have seen such a huge improvement is at lunchtime. So if you give a kid a cell phone, everything that they need is here, all of their entertainment. And for me, when I was a kid, if I did that, I'd have to bring my Super Nintendo, my home phone, my boom box, you know, my TV and my cable box, because that had to be toted along too. So, but all of that is in this one little single device. And this is what they were doing at lunchtime. Well, we want them to have more real-time conversation, more face-to-face. And so to do that, this needs to be put away. And so we have seen such huge growth with these students. They're conversing more, they're able to have actual conversation back and forth and work through, you know, different things. We've seen more, less cyberbullying. That's been a big thing. And so we see less of that because they don't have their phones out. They're not able to do that during school time. So when we actually are working with them, going through this, there's nothing for them to say. They have to talk to that person face to face. And when just as the primary and elementary, we've noticed that more of that restorative practice where we're like, okay, well, this is what you said and this is how it hurt that person. And so they're able to see more face to face with people and it's not hidden behind a screen. So that's been a huge help at the middle school for that side of things. It has also been such a huge help for us, just the kids since fall, that the social media aspect of it has just lessened. We have less things being posted on social media and the kids are actually focused in doing their work and having those real conversations. The next one is, I only have two of these, I'm so sorry, is thanks to Miss Newman, we adopted at our school the go, flush, wash, leave motto that the elementary school has. So we have that posted. Oh, can you go to the next slide?
Yeah.
Thank you. We have that posted around our bathroom areas. So not only do we have all our expectations around the school, but we have it around our bathroom area so that the kids see that it's posted when they go in. The kids have actually made a little song out of it. And so it's kind of like a joke at a middle school level. They're like, oh, wash, leave, and then they sing this little song. I can't sing it. I'm so sorry. I can't sing it. But the other big thing that we had that has been a help, thanks to Justin, is that the intercom system is able to pipe right into the speakers right up near the bathrooms. And so we'll be able to like, all right, go flush, wash, leave. And the kids are like, oh yeah, go flush, wash, leave. And so they go and then they leave and there's less congregating in the bathroom where kids are hanging out and things like that. So that's been a huge help. The last one is our PBIS, our Positive Behavior Intervention and Supports. So one of the things as an admin intern that Mr. Moss has also come along and guided with me is I have taken over this Warrior Points and the Warrior Point store. So years past, we've always had a Warrior Point store and the kids love it. They have all kinds of things. Well, this year I wanted to elevate it a little bit and I wanted the kids to get excited about it. So we have, sorry, I have another visual. We have these things called Warrior Points.
Here, you can give them extra.
Okay, I'll give you extra points.
The store opens at noon tomorrow.
You get a Warrior Point. So we give these out.
When I was a kid.
Yeah, I
I
know.
have one of these things to go down the hallway.
So we give these out to students and the kids call them currency. It's kind of cute, but the kids love these. They do, and I mean, literally they try to earn these all the time. I have kids come up to me, what can I do to earn Warrior Points? Well, the reason that they want to earn them so bad and the reasons that we give them out is because we want them to demonstrate expected behavior. So things, but also kids that are going over and beyond. We have a lot of kids that will come along a student who's dropped all their stuff and go and help them pick it up. And if I see that as a staff member, that's amazing. I love that. I love it that people are willing to go out of their way to help other people. And so I'll be like, dude, you deserve a Warrior Point for that. And so we also do it with our SEL lessons. We have several social emotional lessons. And so when kids are using those strategies, when they're talking face to face, we give these out also. So what they do is every Friday, this is our little Warrior Point store. Sorry, I'll show you over here. We have volunteers that help run this. So during Connect conferences, I had a little survey for parents to fill out. And that was one thing that we asked them on there. Are you willing to help for Warrior Point store? So they put their name and their email address. So at the beginning of the year, I contacted them, and once every 3 months, we had 22 volunteers for this. And so I had enough where I could have a parent, these are all parents, come every Friday and help me run this Warrior Point store. And so the kids will come up during lunchtime. They have to get their lunch first, but they come up after they're done eating and they can spend these Warrior Points. And this is like a big deal on Fridays. And the wonderful thing that we've also had about it is several of our parents that have volunteered have also donated quite a bit. As you can see there's a bunch of hats there. Those were donated. A parent works for the Rainiers baseball team. And so he's been donating all kinds, shirts, hats. They've all kinds of just great things that the parents have come along and they're like, my kid told me about the Warrior Point store and he'd really like to see this in it. And so then they would donate, like a box of those little flip skateboards. I didn't know those were back in, but they are. The other way that kids can earn Warrior Points and spend them is at the end of the day, Mr. Moss and Mrs. Friedman will sell things before the buses leave. So the kids all run out and they go, what are you selling? What are you selling? And the hot ticket is Girl Scout cookies. And Mr. Moss always buys a whole bunch of Girl Scout cookies. And so he'll sell those. Rice Krispie treats are the other one, but he'll sell pencils, little paper airplane kits. I don't know. The kids love them. And then he'll sell different things right before the kids get on the bus. And then the last one is, the teachers, a lot of times the teachers will have different stores in their room, and we don't have food in the Warrior Point store. But some of the teachers will have chips and Takis and things like that, and the kids can buy them from their store too, but they also sell all kinds of different things in their own classrooms. So it's just an incentive for we want them to have that positive behavior and to have fun. So this has actually been one of my favorite things. I love working along with the parents and having them help me man that store. And it's been a huge hit. The kids love it. They go to their teachers going, how can I get these? How can I get these? So that's some of the things that we've been doing at the middle school.
Thank you, Renee.
Thank you.
Thank you, Renee.
Thank you.
I'm hungry. I could use.
You have 10 Warrior Points?
I do, but I see 5.
We'll put your name on it. I'm Heather Brooks. I am at the high school and I'm excited to be here because it's really fun to be able to talk about the things that we're doing at the high school. And I don't know if any of you get a chance to go there often, but we're doing some great things. I just put our SIP goal in. I'm not going to spend much time on it. We made a SIP goal around executive functioning, and that was based on our data, and that was based on our DESA data. And so go ahead and go to the next slide, please. I wanted to just give you an idea of what executive functioning is. So last year, the areas that we really saw students need to work on was problem solving. And this year in the fall, it was self-management. How are they managing themselves? So we're really looking at inhibition, problem solving, and the self-monitoring. And then we took those and we aligned them to the social emotional standards within Washington State. And there is a goal for self-management. So we broke that down, kind of backward planned, and then took that from there into social emotional lessons. So at the high school, I've really been looking at prevention, intervention, and consequences. Like, how can we prevent behaviors from occurring? So we made some staff commitments. First, over the summer, Kevin and I read the book about executive functioning in the classroom and what proven strategies work to help students who are dealing with some executive functioning skills. So part of that was predictability. Students with low executive functioning really do well in a predictable environment. So we have made some staff agreements to greet the students at the door, start our entry task together. And the rationale for that in the book was so that as students come in, even before the bell, someone else isn't finished. And that causes them to have some anxiety that they're already behind. And then going to the conference that Dr. Bethman sent us to. It's really the school-wide teaching of behavior strategies and pro-social skills. And it's similar to what all of the other schools are doing. So weekly tier 1 lessons in the classroom during CSR. And they are all aligned to the standards and to our DESA data. And then I'm pulling some small groups of students and working individual. And all of the kids right now who I'm working with do have individualized behavior plans. So they have that tier 3, but I am working on tier 2 with them and emphasizing the strategies that they're learning during their CSR time and how they can reinforce those and actually use them. These are some things, other things that we've done for prevention. So we introduced Hall Pass, which has been huge. Students have to sign out on the computer when they exit the classroom. And then it tells us how long they're gone and it tells us where they're at. Now, there are some flaws with that. Not every student, sometimes they pretend to sign out and don't. We are working through some quirks, but it's really nice to be able, if I am standing out in the hallway outside the bathroom, I can have my laptop up and I can see if they have signed out. And if not, I can have a quick conversation. I don't see that you signed out here. What class are you coming from? Please go back, sign out with your teacher. I can send a teacher a quick email. They're returning to class. I didn't see them sign out. So we're working through some of those, but it is a tighter system than we've had. Similar to what Nicole said, we're working on, and we're in the process of this, but how are we uniformly responding to students? It is not effective if one staff member allows someone to walk by and say something inappropriate, and another staff member doesn't. We're not showing them that this is something we're consistent about and something that is important to the way that we respect each other within a school. So we're working on those common responses and redirects. And then we're also doing a lot of staff recognition and student recognition. Every Friday, every person on our staff writes an individualized card to a student. And we give examples and talk about how we're proud of them for showing these characteristics, being positive, respectful, having integrity, being determined, or being engaged. So they get every student has already gotten an individual card from a staff member, and we're on the second round. I think we're at 200 in the second round. And then we're also doing just another piece for the recognition. We are also making sure that we're giving kids specific like shout outs in the announcements and specific things. That has been kind of a game changer. So Kevin gets on every morning and I will give him some notes to talk about, and he will go ahead and like preface, hey, in your CSR today, you're going to be learning about a strategy called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's going to help ground you. And then he'll go through that in a week. So that's just another way that we're keeping it alive. Okay, so intervention, I am doing tier 2, and that is on self-management. So it's a 2A and a 2B. The 2B part actually has the problem solving within it. And 2A is really like self-control. How are they able to manage themselves, their body, kind of similar things, but at a larger scale. And then the individualized, I have quite a few students who I have on specific plans. I shouldn't say quite a few, it feels like quite a few to me, but students who really need a higher level of structure. So I will have them check in at the office in the morning rather than being, they've kind of lost that privilege to be with the rest of the students because I need to have safety as our priority. So they will check in at the office in the morning. I will do a check-in about their goals. Hey, remember your goals today are this. Here's a strategy that I want you to use if this happens, and kind of hold them to that if they don't use the strategy because they chose not to or because they didn't want to, then there's going to be a consequence for that. Because we want to be positive, but we want them to start using these replacement strategies for some of their negative behaviors that they're displaying and learning strategies so that they can have a really productive life and be able to accomplish the things they want to accomplish. So I went ahead and looked at behavior by incident. I only put our 4 largest at the bottom. That was so small and so difficult to read. So we had 32, the number is how many referrals we've received, 32 failure to cooperate. That can be anything from they're just kind of checked out. They're not opening their laptop. They're refusing to follow my adult directions, to leaving class without permission. And I think we're shutting that one down. We did have a lot of kids. One of our agreements was that students would not line up at the door, that they would stay seated and they would stay until the bell rang and have the teacher dismiss them. So as teachers were saying students were leaving the door, it really came back to our commitments. How are you helping them to not be by the door and kind of emphasize that we have a commitment around that? So, and then disrespectful. Disrespectful kind of collects a lot of things. It can be anything from, I do think we need to redefine these a little bit more, similar to what Madison's saying, because I think it can cross over to failure to cooperate a little bit. Disruptive is more when they would absolutely disrupt the learning environment. So they need to be asked to leave because that environment is now impacted. So we had 19 of those this year. Okay. So not shockingly, our freshmen, as they come in, I think that we would really benefit from having a freshman academy in the fall. And that could be taking the DESA data, taking the lessons we're already having, and just honing in on our freshmen and making sure they're getting more of that and more of the expectations, because we've already created expectations for every location. So we do walk around during the first week. We show students the expectation in each location, but I think the freshmen just need more of that. They need more onboarding and a little bit more practice. Yeah, this, oh boy. So we have a huge overrepresentation of male referrals. And first I'm like, boy, maybe I don't want to put that in there, but I'm like, I think it's really important to be transparent. And we've had discussions around this, and I think that's an area that we need to work on. And we need to really look at, I think this is something that happens from kindergarten on up, but what do students need to be engaged in learning? And what type of movement needs to happen within the classroom? What type of, what is the length of instruction for sitting? So that I think comes with just a lot of really going back to how we're doing this in the classroom and what are we doing well? What can we replicate? And what do we need to increase? Thank you. October, that was a super rough month, but it's also the month that we found our huge success with cell phones. So last year, we had agreed on no cell phones. We didn't get the staff commitment. We had some people kind of falling through. It was completely evident. Students would say they felt like it was unfair. One teacher was letting them, another wasn't. We shut that down this year. And we just were really transparent in saying, this only works if we really do this together. And so our staff has been amazing. And I think we've actually shut the cell phone problem down. And so that happened for students in October. Clearly, there was some adjustment, as well as we introduced the hall pass. So we also were monitoring how much time they were out of class. And just a side note, I was in my office the other day, Daryl, our SRO, thank you, was in there and he said, boy, this has been such a long day. I just want to go home, want to get my hot top, and I want to get on my phone. And then I was so stressed the other day on the weekend, I was like, and I thought, we've taken away a vice for these kids. These kids for years now have grabbed their cell phone. and been able to relax or disengage at something that is mindless. And so it has been hard. It's been a shift, but we have had way more engagement. And it's probably the best thing we've ever done. Thank you. Wednesdays, I have no rationale for this other than they're just we're just tired. I'm tired by Wednesday. Yeah.
They're not tired.
They're not, yeah. No problem. Okay. So next steps, we're experiencing the failure to cooperate, the leaving without permission, the disrespect. I'd really like to engage students in some goals around that, like even in assembly, hey, students, this is an area that we need to work on. And have them they're old enough to be problem solvers, applying some of those skills then that they need in a process manner where they could learn to really measure the goal, have it up, be excited about it, and maybe get some celebrations. And then we're working on the common staff responses. I think that's extremely important. We've had some educational assemblies to address like cooperation and respect, and then build that team building back into the classroom. So students can experience working together in a positive manner. I think that's everything.
Thank you, Heather.
Wow. Question?
I appreciate the engagement and the coping skills that these kids are learning, whether or not they want to or not. You know, I don't know, could somebody donate this to the next cool kid that does something good in the class? I'm ready to give that up. I'll sign it. You know, how does this help with attendance?
So we are working on our student store with attendance. So I'm gonna be really transparent. One of the biggest issues when I meet with parents and families and students is they will say, my student's passing. They're using the online program. And I said, we don't have an online program, but they're able to access everything, which is a good thing. I haven't figured this out. It's a good thing. They're able to access everything on Google Classroom. We want students to access their work. We want it at their fingertips, but it's being misused. I don't know what the solution is to that, but we have a lot of students who prefer to do their work at home, and the parents are, I think, feeling somewhat satisfied. Their students passing, they're doing well. So it's kind of been this bit of engagement that we need to show them what they're missing when they're not at school. And we're trying to incorporate more fun, more positive atmosphere, and really have a sense of belonging so that they feel when they're gone, they're missed. It has been a challenge. Absolutely. It's something I think that weighs on me and the rest of staff every day. I'm working with the ESD, and I'm actually going Monday. We're doing what's called PDSA cycles. So it's Plan, Do, Study, Act. So for example, the last one we did, it's if we do this, what will happen and how will that change the behavior? So next month, we're doing March Madness attendance. It's competitions between all the classes. And it's just going to be kind of like, what does this do? What can we tweak? How can we make that different to continually improve the cycles of getting kids here? It's definitely something we're working on and we're collaborating on and putting our minds to. It hasn't shifted a lot overnight. It's been a little bit of that persistent nagging in my head that I'm not sure how to do it overnight. I think it is.
Sorry if I created stress for you.
It's so important, and
I feel that a lot of these kids that are at home doing their home stuff have that phone right there. That is their world, and they're not commingling in the world that everyone else is in.
yes, I agree. Some of the latest conversations we've had are kind of looking at, do they get participation points for being there? That's a really hot topic as well too, because when you're looking at a standard, you want to measure, is the student meeting the standard? And that would be more of a citizenship. So There's things we've thought of. I don't think we have the answers. I'm gonna be really honest. I welcome any, like, I think we are super open to how can we make this better for the kids and the staff want to see them there and the staff miss the kids when we're not there. So, yeah. Thank you.
How many days can a student miss?
So when we're looking at excused and unexcused absences, so unexcused is the one that has the numbers attached to it, although we want to watch. We have a lot of kids who have excused absences. But once they miss 3 days, and this is part of the stuff that we've talked about at the cohort, which has been, I think, really reassuring for me. 3 days, so the first time they miss, they receive a notification via phone. And then 3 days, we call and we talk to the family. And then there's a 5-day and then a 10-day. And so we have kids way past that, way past that. And it's really just engaging the family and getting the kid to see the value of being there instead of just doing the work and passing the class. So I think those are just some things that maybe I think we need to put a lot of heads together and maybe talk about how we can implement some things that will really hone in a little bit more.
Do you see a correlation between attendance and disciplinary incidents, or is it hard to?
No, because I have the kids that I'm working with who have behavior plans and who have the tier 2, and they are regular attenders. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm
Good.
yes. It's very, very good.
All the behavior.
I'm looking for another way to get the numbers.
Yeah, they are there every day with a smile, so.
Being a social teenager.
Yes.
Good.
Any other questions? Okay, I thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate everyone.
Thank you.
Real quickly, I want to respond to Thomas's question of how we're going to recruit more girls. My daughter just spent 4 months wrestling boys and she doesn't want to do that next year. So she will find teammates somewhere.
Good. And what grade is your?
She's a junior.
Okay.
She has 1 more year.
Put fire underneath her then. Tell her she heard her.
We
Start
made
looking.
it to the Tacoma Dome. She got a fire under her.
That's impressive.
So our February enrollment count dropped a little, which is pretty common from January to February to 2017. Running start went to 59. Heart had 33.2, special ed count 364, and 7 students participating in the dropout reengagement program. So same information in a visual, we're the red line this year, so we are going in the wrong direction a little bit. So at the end of January, our general fund ending fund balance was at 2.8 million. And I can tell you with us ending January there, we are not going to have to take a loan for payroll unless a catastrophe happens. The breakdown of that is restricted for carryover revenues, which is food service money, LAP money, CTE money, and TK money of 674,000, leaving 2.1 million committed to our fund balance. So we're about right in the middle between the 5 and 8%. At the end of January, we are 41.67% of the year complete. Our revenues are at 40.6 and our expenditures at 43.53. And the last one is a summary of all our funds. So capital projects is at 3.6 million, debt service at 826,000, ASB at 612,000, and transportation vehicle at 253,000. Any questions? I'm not nearly as fun as them.
You answered my question a few weeks ago. so-
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Minimum fund balance policy, and we were changing that, right?
I
Does
think
that
that's on
take
the
place-
agenda shortly.
Oh, okay, then I will be quiet.
No, it's not on there.
Because I saw the 5 and the 8, and it's like.
It was in the
we're-
little.
It was already changed.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to change it. We need to change it on our document here.
Oh, okay.
We will update. I noticed that as I was looking at it
But once I noticed it when you said it, I'm like, well, wait a minute, I thought we made changes to that.
Yeah.
So,
You're right.
Wonderful.
You're on top of it.
excellent. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate the report.
Ready?
Ready? Yep.
All right, I
Yep,
just
yep.
have a few things for tonight. First of all, Nicole mentioned the Reading Across America Day is actually March 2nd. That's Dr. Seuss's birthday. But if you want to be a reader, it's on February 7th. And I do have the Google Sheet where you could, after the meeting, we could look at it and see what times you might be able to come in and read. So
March 7th.
I did mean March 7th. Thank you. I had quite the day.
Second typo.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
I'm thinking maybe there's one on the next slide too. No, I did change the next slide. Okay. The next one is future chef competition. And this is something that if you've never done it, it is so much fun to watch these kids. It's Grand Mount students. And they come and they submit a recipe that they want to cook, and then our child nutrition team comes and they spend time in the kitchen with them, cooking up a meal, cooking up their recipe. And then we get to taste test it. We need judges. So if you're interested in being a judge, and I'm serious, it's good. These are like,
And it's main dish recipes this year.
this year it is main dish, yes.
Don't eat before you come.
But it does start at 2 o'clock. You would not need to be there at 2. The judging starts at 3. So if you wanted to come and judge, probably at about 2:45, you'd need to be there. But it is fun to be there around 2:30 and watch the kids cook, and you can talk to them and see what they're doing, and they can tell you all about what they're doing and why they're doing and where they learned it. It's really a fun event.
Question, do they have to like make a budget and figure out ingredients and what things are gonna cost
They
to
do.
make these meals? Do they actually?
They do have to do some of that, and they have to provide their list of items that they need to cook what they want to cook. So they do have to put their recipe together and then put their list of ingredients together.
Wonderful.
Can you send that day?
Mhm.
Hold on. Can you send that day to Andrea?
Yes, to this, Andrea?
Yeah.
No. Our Andrea.
Okay,
Awesome.
Reynolds,
Yes.
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 I have her
Okay.
number and I will do that. Yeah.
Okay, because that is my shift day.
Oh, and you want it off?
No.
Oh, okay.
Come over and grab something to eat.
You know, the firefighters in.
All right, so that's on the 11th, and like I said, if you are available to judge, let me know. They obviously don't need an unlimited number of judges, but they would like to have a fair number of judges, so just let me know. Grand Mound Elementary School, so we're actually going to be spending all day tomorrow in a principal selection process. We had 33 strong applicants. It was a really good pool. And we've narrowed it down to 5 people that we will be meeting with tomorrow. There is a parent and community forum in the evening at 6 o'clock, and that is in the library at Grand Mound. But before they get to the end of the day where they meet with the families, they're going to have they're going to interview with administrators, so building and district administrators. They're going to be meeting with staff, so they will talk with each of the 5 candidates will have 20 minutes with the entire staff to ask questions or have them ask questions and answer their questions. There's a classroom observation, and then there's a debrief of what they saw, what they saw in the classroom and how they would work and coach the teacher. And then we've got a group of kids that are going to be providing a tour, and Madison's helping me with that. And she met with them today or yesterday and today. And the kids have each came up with one question that they get to ask the candidate as they tour them around around Grand Mound, and they are great questions. I mean, it's like they could take my job and just because they were perfect. So I I look forward to seeing the kids working with our candidates and hearing about what they think, because that's a big part of this picture, so. That'll be all day tomorrow. And then next up, we've got on the 28th, there's financial aid night that is run by the Gear Up team. So if you're around the high school and you want to stop in, you don't need to stay the whole time, but if you do want to see what's going on at the high school on the 28th, which is Friday night, if the date's right, I'm not going to make any guarantees right now. But at 6 o'clock, we're doing a financial aid night, and I believe there's going to be food. So if you would like a little light dinner, I think that's going to be available. March 1st is a Safe and Sober auction. The Bigfoot barbecue is going to be outside of the high school starting at 4 o'clock. I understand that the auction starts at 6 o'clock. Like, I think that's the main auction. And then at 5 o'clock, I think starting at 4, you could walk around and look at the tables. And I believe if you got there around 5, you would have plenty of time for the event, and you might even want to do like 5:30. It is at the high school this year, and encourage you to attend if you're around on Saturday night. Kindergarten registration opens on Monday. If you know of anybody who has a kindergartner, we are looking for them. We are going to sign them up. We want to make sure we get everybody signed up as soon as possible. So if you've got a neighbor or anybody else that looks like they're 5. March 7th is the day that we can go and read to students at RPS. So I encourage you again, if you're available, to sign up. And I do have that Google sheet. The Future Chef competition is on March 11th. They have a board work session on March 12th. We have conferences on April 1st through 4th, which is really just around the corner. And then we do have spring break on this April 7th through 11th. That's what I've got for you tonight. Any questions?
Have we figured out what day graduation is on?
Yes, graduation is on June 8th at 2 o'clock at St. Martin's. And that is a good, we'll need to ask next month who would like to attend and be there. It's been nice to have a lot of you there, so.
That's one of the best things.
Okay.
Yeah, it's always on a.
Yeah, and then Heart's the Friday before.
It's what day?
The Friday
Friday.
before, so
Yeah.
six.
Okay.
I think it's at 6 p.m.
I had Saturday, well, I don't know why, I had Saturday on my mind for some reason. I knew it wasn't during the week, but I don't know why I was thinking Saturday.
It's a good question. I'm glad you asked. All right, we have 3 policies tonight. Are you good if I move forward?
Yes.
I think actually we have 2 policies tonight. You have reviewed these in work session. The first one's 3420. It basically will allow us to have a school supply of epinephrine. There you go, thank you. On hand to be administered to students. Again, nurses could administer it to any students that needed it. Our staff who are trained to administer it would be able to administer it to students who have a prescription. So that's what this policy does, is primarily allow us to have a school supply. And then the next policy is 5005. And this is just updating our definition of what unsupervised access to children is, and then making sure that our language about the Washington State background checks for our volunteers is correct and up to date, which is what the policy does. So those are the 2 policies. This is for first reading. Is there any question about either one or conversation? I guess that's your line. Sorry, I'm taking your job.
No. Any question? No.
None at this time.
Okay.
Okay,
Next, what's next?
next is overnight travel.
Ooh, it's a travel.
Oh, that's we need to make we have to approve that, right?
Yep,
We have
this
to
is,
approve this, it's that time again?
yep, Future Business Leaders of America are going to Bellevue for the FBLA conference / competition. They'll be there for 3 nights, and it is an overnight trip, so they need board approval.
How are they traveling to their
I believe they'll be taking a van.
demand? Cool.
So,
Okay,
we have a
okay.
motion and then-
All right, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right, can I get a second? All right, any discussion? Okay, no discussion. All those in favor?
I
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion has passed. Okay,
Last one.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if you guys wanna leave.
Really?
We have one item left.
item left.
Well.
Thomas.
I'm sorry, I mean, you could have been done with the last item by now. Okay, so superintendent's contract extension. Do we need to?
Just gonna tell you, yeah, let her stick, right?
Yep.
Any discussion on this?
We love her here.
Okay. No questions? No questions. Approved.
Yeah, move to approve the extension.
Yes. Do I have a move to approve the extension?
So moved.
So moved. Can I get a second?
I will second that.
Any more discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? No, no opposed. Motion is passed.
Broke ass pizza.
Thank
Well,
you.
we were gonna, I thought we discussed earlier that we were just gonna talk about the form. So that's what I had on my mind.
Adjourn the meeting.
Okay,
Public comment.
Public comment.
no. Oh, let me go get my glasses back. Nobody online?
No.
Nobody online. Okay. Meeting is adjourned 20:01.